Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Talking Boxing. I know it's been a little while. It's been a few weeks since our last upload. Um, been trying to get some things sorted out. Been super busy. Both of us have been very busy. We don't have Alan on today. Maybe we'll have him back on pretty soon, hopefully. But today it's just me. We are coming off of a very big draw on Boots and his performance. First fight at 154, hometown fight in Philly again. Goes out there, knocks out Lima in one round. We're just gonna hop straight into it. Um, I mean, there's not much to take away from this performance because it was so quick. I mean, he beat him in within 2 minutes. Like pretty much, we didn't make it out of the first round. I was watching. I was pretty excited for it, and Boots usually kind of sits around, plays with his food when he has a lesser opposition, and he didn't do that. He did not do that. He said his father, Bozianis, said, "Don't play with him. Don't play with him. Just go in there and get the job done." And I think he came out and really lit a spark on the entire 154 division. A lot of people were saying he got a lot of criticism after his last Karnch performance, where he didn't look so great. Went out and demolished Stanionis at 147. Says he can't make 147 anymore, so he moved up to 154. First fight, yeah, wasn't a champion. Yeah, wasn't high level opposition, but it doesn't matter when you go out there and blast out your opponent within 2 minutes of the first round. That's still a statement performance. They ask him in the ring after, what's next? Obviously, he says the Vergil fight. Yeah, it's one of the biggest fights in boxing, but I mean, Eddie Hearn says that the fight is supposedly already agreed to. I know we've heard that before. You would have to think Turkey's involved somewhere. Riyadh season's involved somewhere. Eddie said that the fight was in Vegas. They said that himself and Boots wanted the fight in Philly, obviously, because I mean that's Boots' hometown. Um, and yeah, he draws a big crowd in Philly. Oscar and Golden Boy says that they want the fight in Texas, I believe. I believe it was Dallas, is what Eddie said. So they came to the agreement. Let's do it in Vegas. So I mean, you would think, like I said, you would think Turkey's involved, but by the sounds of it, it seems like it's just the two promotions, which is, I mean, it's good to see. Yeah, Turkey's doing great things for boxing, but we need two promoters on the same side, and you're seeing that with Oscar and Eddie. Also, it's two of honestly the better actual promoters. I'm not talking about stable wise, but I'm talking about like personality wise, as in actually going out there and promoting your fighter. There's nobody really better doing it than Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya right now. Yeah, they're the two loudmouths, and that's what you want in the promoter. They're a boxing promoter. They're called a promoter for a reason. And a lot of these other promoters we don't really see do that outside of those two. So two quiet guys in a press conference if this fight does happen, if the Virgil and Boots fight does happen. Yeah, two quieter guys, two loud promoters. So it's gonna help build the fight even more, I think. But anyway, yeah, it's one of the biggest fights in boxing. If Boots cannot get the Virgil fight, because obviously Virgil still has a fight lined up for November 8th, 8th or 9th, I can't remember, against Erickson Lubin, which is by no means a pushover. It's a tough fight. I do think Virgil should get past him. I just don't know if the Virgil fight is actually next. They're both calling for it, but it almost seems too good to be true. I mean, that's just kind of what happens in boxing. Obviously, the 154 is one of the more stacked divisions, but there are some weaker champions that I think Boots could easily make a run for undisputed. The Virgil fight is also not a championship fight, by the way. I mean, Virgil has an interim belt, um, and yeah, it's really just a big fight, no title fight. Um, Abu Sparrow, he went over in Orlando on the MVP show on the first ever MVP Fight Night show and at the Caribe Royale and upset Joannes Tellez. After Crawford fought Canelo, obviously moved out of the 154 weight class, and Barao got elevated to that title. So he is now a champion at 154. I think that's a pretty easy belt for Boots to go out there and get. Wouldn't be shocked if he takes that. Second fight at 154, it would kind of be a tune-up, in my opinion, because there's just the level. Yeah, it's a higher level opposition than what Lima was for Boots, but Boots is also just at a much higher level than Barao is. I think they kind of rushed Tellez into that fight, so that's why Barao came out and upset him. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Boots took that fight. You also have Xander Zayas, who is a he's another younger champion. I wouldn't say he's fully developed yet. I love Xander. I think he's a great fighter. And I think he gets too much criticism, especially they're saying he's a weaker champion. Yeah, he's a weaker champion, but he's still a great fighter, and it's by like again no means a pushover because I think Xander's a great fighter. The likely route for him is he takes a tune-up, defends his title once in Puerto Rico for hometown fight. So we'll kind of see what happens there. But that's another option for Boots. I don't think that's the option he goes with because I don't think Xander would take that fight because, like I said, he's most likely getting a hometown title defense in Puerto Rico. Other champions at 154. Let me pull up a list. For some reason, I'm completely blanking. Oh, also Boots called out Jermel Charlo. He's had a long layoff. Name wise, it's a big fight. It's good for Boots' resume. It will be the biggest name on his resume. Um, Entertaining? I don't know. I think Boots would kind of blitz him because I think Jamel's just kind of past his time. But it's a big money fight. Like I said, there's Jamel's a pretty big name. So, I mean, that's always an option. He did name him in the ring after. So I'm pulling up this list right here. But yeah, I mean, Jermel Charlo was also another opponent that Boots could go after, but I think that's probably least likely. Oh yeah, another champion, Bakram Murtalayev, guy that went out and upset Tim Tszyu in Orlando, also at the Caribe Royale. Kind of blitzed him out of there before. That was kind of the very start of the um, Tim Tszyu, I guess you could say fall off, even though I hate that word. He was just mismanaged. We all know that story. But yeah, Bakram Murtalayev, he has not defended his title yet. It's been over a year since he beat Tszyu to take the title from him. That's another option for Boots. I don't think Bakram is that great. I do think that it was just a bad stylistic matchup for Tim Tszyu. You know, Tim Tszyu don't really move his head much. Bakram does hit hard. I think this would be another quick fight for Boots. I don't think Boots will really. Boots doesn't get hit. Yeah, he gets hit, but I think once you step up the opposition, and yeah, Bakram is still going to be one of the tougher opponents that Boots has fought. I think Boots also looks much stronger at 154 than he did at 147. So if you put him in there with Bakram, I do think that Boots will make it look easy. I just think that there's still levels above, and I think even if you're talking about Bakram beating Tim Tszyu, I still think Boots is levels above both of them. I think pretty clearly and pretty, it's fair to say. Now the best champion at 154, Sebastian Fundora, who was supposed to be taking on Keith Thurman on the 25th in Vegas, that now got canceled as Fundora goes down with a hand injury. So there's a lot of questions with that. Um, when Fundora is healthy again, do they pivot back to that Keith Thurman fight? You know, Keith Thurman's got very unlucky these past few years with his injuries and getting title fights. You know, he was supposed to fight Tim Tszyu once or twice. He got injured both times. There was a few other fights that Thurman was rumored to be in. He got one fight in Australia, and that was supposed to be leading up to a Tim Tszyu fight. Tim Tszyu fought Fundora after that, the rematch, and Fundora beat him. Fundora stopped him after Tszyu just kind of quit on a stool. So yeah, Thurman didn't get that, so he said, I'll fight Fundora. Now that falls through. So that leaves questions. When will Fundora be back? So I think that kind of eliminates Fundora for Boots. It's looking like I think it's going to be Burrell. I think it's going to be Abus Burrell because it's title. Boots could just go collect another title. He can collect a title at 154, and then it will kind of force people to fight him. Because this is reminding me kind of that 135 division, the lightweight division, when Tank, Shakur, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, all of them were sitting right at that 135-pound weight class. They were all a lot of title holders. They called them the Four Kings, and none of them ever fought each other. I just hope that's not what goes on with this 154 division because even though it's weaker champions than that 135-pound division was, it's still super stacked. There's a lot of good fights that you can make. And I don't really see anybody here moving up anytime soon. I mean, the next weight class is 160. It's a weaker weight class, but I mean, I mean, yeah, just fight each other. If you're at 154, just fight each other, man. I mean, I think that's what we have to see. That's what the sport needs. Maybe it'll happen. We've kind of gotten the runaround with Boots and Vergil Ortiz already. That fight's been rumored and made for over a year now. So maybe we'll see that. Hopefully we see that because, yeah, like I said, it's one of the better fights in boxing. It will be a great build up because two promoters, and it's the best two at their division fighting each other. Why would we not want to see that? Winner can go. I mean, even if that fight does happen next, you say the winner gets Barao. The winner of Boots and Vergil goes and fights for a title with it, where it's like Abus Barao. I mean, I'm sure both of them would be down for that. And then you go take a title from Bakram, or you go take a title from Xander, because after Xander's hometown fight in Puerto Rico, if it does get made, that's just what I'm thinking it will happen. Xander's gonna be looking for a big fight. He's gonna be looking to probably unify. Maybe he goes after Burrell. Maybe he goes after Bakram. But the winner of Boots and Vergil, if this fight happens, would definitely be on the table for Xander as well. Put it at Madison Square Garden. You know, Puerto Rican weekend, Boots versus Xander or Vergil versus Xander. Puerto Rican Day weekend, especially if it's Boots. You have a big Puerto Rican crowd in New York, right there by Philly. They could just take the train over to New York. A lot of Philly fans, a lot of Boots fans would be there. A lot of Puerto Ricans would be there. It would be, I think, a 50-50 split crowd because Boots fans really show out in Philly or even around the Philly area. I mean, they all showed out in Jersey when Boots fought in Jersey. They'll show up in New York, all around that tri-state area. They're gonna pop out. So that's also an option. But yeah, I mean, overall, just impressive performance from Boots. Like I said, what it doesn't matter level of opposition, it was still a spectacular performance. And he has major potential and lots of big fights ahead. Do I think he's future pound for pound number one? Kind of looks like it. Kind of looks like it, in my opinion. We'll see. Time will tell. And it's time for Boots to get in these big fights. That's really all I'm going to say about the Boots performance. And what is next for Boots? Next, we have Dave Allen and Makhmudov. That happened earlier in the day, same day. Dave Allen goes out there and loses a decision to Makhmudov. This Makhmudov is now, I mean, the Eddie said the winner of this fight would be potential opponents for Anthony Joshua for his return. Maybe you give him Makhmudov. What does Joshua get out of that? I think he goes in there and knocks him out. I don't think Makhmudov's a good fighter. Dave Allen, he's a fun fighter. Is he a great fighter? I wouldn't say so. He's the Arturo Gatti of heavyweights, I guess you would say. I guess that's a good term for it. I mean, he's just a fun fighter. Lots of losses. I think he has 8 or 9 losses now. A few draws. You look at his box rec. It's not letting me pull it up. But yeah, lots of draws, lots of wins, and lots of losses. So it was kind of like this fight was. He did bring a big crowd to the UK though. I mean, it was a packed out environment, great environment in the UK actually. It was a good fight. Like I said, David Allen's a fun fighter to watch, but is he elite? Absolutely not. Makhmadov, he was rocked a few times in this fight. Dave Allen, he just couldn't finish. He would land one big shot and then Makhmadov would kind of clinch and Allen just wouldn't really try and put the pressure on him. It was just one shot at a time. You would have thrown some more combos into there. I think you could have got him out of there. I mean, Makhmadov was hurt a few times. He's a super weird fighter though. He has that little twitch. He's massive. He's a huge guy. He looks at the ref after every time he gets hit. He looks at his corner every time he gets hit. So while you're watching him on TV, you're like, "Oh, is he signaling to his corner that he's done? Is he hurt? Does he want out of this fight?" And he just keeps on going, keeps on going, keeps on going. He's a truck. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. Not really too much to take away from that. But I could absolutely see this being Anthony Joshua's return fight. And that return fight would set Joshua up for Tyson Fury when Tyson Fury is back. And that could potentially be it for both of them. I mean, that's a huge fight that we've never gotten, and we still want it, no matter how older the fighters are, I guess, or how past their time the fighters are. We would all still sign up. We would all still pay. We would all still watch Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. And this is a good comeback fight for Anthony Joshua because I do think he picks up the knockout here. And I don't think Makhmadov would, ice Anthony Joshua like we've seen in the past, although he does seem to have a not the greatest chin. Speaking of heavyweights and Anthony Joshua, back to the boots card on the co-main event. Guido Vianello goes out there and gets a knockout win. He then calls out Anthony Joshua to a fight at the Roman Coliseum. He's a Guido, the Italian heavyweight. I think he has some connections with Rome, Roman Empire stuff. I don't really know exactly, but I've heard. But he calls out Joshua to a fight at the Roman Empire. This would be sick. I'm not gonna lie. Um, the atmosphere would be cool just because it's something different. Would it happen? Maybe. I do think Eddie would probably throw Joshua in there with Guido because I think Guido's a good fighter. Guido hits hard. He doesn't give up. He did lose to Richard Torres. I believe he's only been stopped once. I could be wrong. It's not letting me pull up his box rec, but I believe he's been stopped once, and that was due to a cut. So outside of that, Guido's went the distance for the most part in his losses. I don't know if he can take a hit from that Anthony Joshua because yeah, there's still levels to it. Although Joshua is past his prime, he still hits hard. I mean, even in that Dubois knockout loss that he took, he had Dubois rocked right before he got iced. So Joshua's still a hard hitter. Um, can Guido take a shot from Joshua? That's my thing. Fun fight? Yeah, absolutely. Let's see it. Oh yeah, he's from Rome, Italy, by the way. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Guido's from Rome, Italy. By the way, just by the way, back to that. But yeah, Anthony Joshua versus Guido Valinelli or Guido Vianello. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, Roman Coliseum. Maybe we'll see it. So that's interesting. Interesting news. But staying in the 154 division, like I talked about, Fundora, Thurman canceled. Where does that leave Oshaki Foster and Stephen Fulton at 130? Fulton was coming up to 130 to fight Oshaki Foster. That fight's been made and canceled like two or three times now. It's almost like it's just not meant to be. So what do you do from here? Stephen Fulton tweeted last night that I'm just gonna fight at 150 or 147 next. He was obviously joking around. He's not jumping from 130 to 147. He's saying that because he can't get a fight at 130. Because every time he gets a fight booked at 130, it falls through due to stuff that's not even anything with their fight. So Shane Mosley was also on the undercard, so that he will have to wait. We don't know what's next for him. That was kind of just random that he ended up being on that undercard, so we don't really know what's next for him. I'm just very curious to see what they do with this Stephen Fulton fight because it's a really good fight. It's for a title. And a lot of people were very interested in this. How is Fulton gonna do moving up to 130? How like just stylistically, it's just a really good fight. I love this fight, and it just seems like we're getting further away from seeing it. Although it's been booked several times, they're just getting unlucky. Maybe they give it to us on a free Amazon card. I don't know. I know when PBC first signed this Amazon deal, they were supposed to give us multiple free fights. I forget how many. They named a certain amount. I can't remember. And I don't think we've gotten that full amount yet. I know we got the Tim Zoo one, we got a Fundora one, we got the Caleb Plant one. What else did we get? We got one more free one, I believe. Yeah, I can't remember. But maybe you give us Foster and Fulton as a free Amazon card. I would watch it. I think a lot of people would watch it. Shane Mosley on the undercard. So yeah, kind of see what happens from there. But that'll do it for this episode. Not much to talk about anymore. But yeah, more news coming. And like I said, we'll be back to weekly uploads here pretty soon. So yeah, just stay tuned because I'll be pumping these things out weekly and hopefully we'll have a co host back. Peace.